Ralph, how are you, sir?
I'm doing really, really well, Roberto. It's great to be here.
Ralph, let's start with a lot of news yesterday.
Probably the worst day of...
And just now, right? Just now, the judge decided not to throw out the bribery on Mayor Adams, but just a lot happening between yesterday and today.
Yeah.
What does it all mean? I want your take and I want your analysis in terms of what it means for the mayor. Do you think it's insurmountable, meaning matching funds, or do you think, again, what's the rumors of my demise have been greatly exaggerated, right? The old expression, like, ha.
Well, I think Eric Adams has proved himself to be a resilient and not only as a resilient figure, but steadfast, rock solid on his approach and strategy to managing crisis. He denies, of course, any all these allegations, which anyone normally would. But he's also not backing off the job, and he's also, he's done his duty responding to the governor's request to clean house, and Ingrid Lewis Martin had been one of the last of the true inner circle to stay on, and because of what she is indicating, an impending indictment, which could be coming from the Manhattan District Attorney's Office, it forced her out. And as I spoke with someone from who had formerly been part of this this administration. Immediately when we saw that news about Ingrid, they were concerned that resigning, the resignation effective immediately, that meant the next day she was done. No more money, no more legal representation. She was on her own. So it was bad. That was being cut loose pretty harsh, and in a really pretty harsh manner. And from what I've read in our many reports, she also apparently had been having some kind of a fallout with the mayor, which is surprising, considering their close relationship going back, I think, 40 years. And her handling of his campaigns and stuff during the last 20. So add that to the fact that he did not qualify for millions of dollars in matching funds, $4 million, I believe. Yesterday, and the bad news of yesterday continued on today. Yesterday was really probably literally one of the worst days of his administration, of his mayoralty, as they say. And but this is Eric Adams. Okay, this is Eric Adams, and he doesn't slow down. And no surprise, he was in Puerto Rico fundraising over the weekend with the crypto guys, and they that's a strong signal of where Adams's alliances are and his strategy. I am totally convinced, because most people most average New Yorkers, hardworking people, don't have time to pay attention to these details.
Yeah, we live in an echo chamber.
We live in an echo chamber, so you and I are following it, and we're going, whoa, and our eyes are rolling, and, every day is a new thing. But as far as New Yorkers are concerned, they don't, unless they're glued to the news the way we are, they're not paying attention as much, and they also... you and I have difficulties understanding these indictments and the multitude of chaotic developments. It's just we have trackers at city and state.
I would add too. Yesterday, the mayor was at a town hall talking directly to people, right?
Well,
He's a phenomenal retail politician.
He's a populist, much like his newfound friend Donald Trump. I mean, he knows that when you direct yourself to the constituents, this is why he does all these flag raisings. This is why, he's at so many community events. He's. I don't know that I remember a mayor who was so out there in the public eye, outside of the echo chamber. Do you get that? He steps out of it, and once he's out of it, he's a man of the people. And this is why I'm convinced he can be prosecuted, go through a jury trial, dig in, run a campaign, get reelected. Maybe there's a conviction in there somewhere at some point. Appeal it. How long do appeals go for? They can be prolonged for years. Finish a second term and move out of the way so that Udonis Rodriguez can run.
It's happened. Remember Buddy Cianci in Providence? Look him up. Mayor of Providence. Yes. Buddy Cianci. The other one was Marion Barry,
exactly.
Washington, D.C.
Absolutely. And the guy was, busted for cocaine. And that was many 2 decades ago, 3 decades ago, where we really had far less tolerance and acceptance for faltering. But we live in a time now where a lot of constituents these matters don't impact their decision making at the voting.
The other thing about matching funds, and I was telling someone earlier, is that this is the capital of the world, New York City, right? There's a lot of rich, wealthy people. Mm-hmm. The business sector, the real estate sector. Mm-hmm.
Well,
right, want moderate. They don't want left. And to them, it's a drop in the bucket. $29.50 is the max right now under the campaign finance. For a wealthy person, $5,000 is nothing. When you're saying he's the mayor, we got to work with the mayor. Win, lose, or draw. Why be on the bad side of the mayor of New York City? So I'm saying that I don't think that the whole hard but not insurmountable.
I think he, from the get-go, aligned himself with real estate, with wealth. He is certainly a moderate. Any Democrat who decides to become a Republican and then comes back to becoming a Democrat and then has to fend off speculation that he's going to be doing it again. Just shows you that he's a smart politician. He knows that in New York State you got to run as a Democrat. It's very hard to win as a Republican unless it's a different story like we have up in Albany, where the governor is certainly.
Can I say something about these hyper-local town halls? Mayor Bill de Blasio did a town hall in every council district. Every council district, right? The brilliance of that is that, think about it, who would want to sit, I'm not knocking it, right? Most people don't want to do this, sit in the sweaty basement or gym auditorium or gym on a weeknight when the Knicks are on, conceivable, unless you care and you're a voter.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And truth be told, that sort of hyper-local, personal touch is impactful. It is impactful. Those are voters. People who sit through an entire town hall care, are, and aware of the issues, and are voters. Ralph, let's talk about the other folks in the race. Give me your analysis on who's impressed you so far, if any candidate has impressed you, and could conceivably put it together, so to speak.
I might have to pull out my phone to remember all the names because there's so many of them at this point.
I'll fill in the blanks.
No, we have a couple of new guys. But, hey, Scott Stringer is the king. He came out on top because he ended up getting his campaign finance matching funds. And nobody else did. I'm saying that with a and I'm being a little snarky too.
Yeah.
But but Scott's got to be happy. He's got and it shows you the kind of candidate this Stringer is. People say he's a competent. He's a one. Trained on the job, ready to hit the pavement, running day one. Scott also has the issue that he doesn't have no longer has the kind of public face or presence. Let me say it that way, that he might have had 5-10 years ago, because he's been out of the spotlight and building this campaign. And if I'm not mistaken, I don't think he's actually even filed yet to run for mayor.
But come on.
But Scott comes out on top this week.
He's running
because his people know how to file their matching finance forms on time, which brings me to Brad Lander. I'm sorry, but what is this, amateur hour? Come on. How do you miss the filing day? How do you... Again, this is not good. If you're running for mayor and you want to show that you can do the job, come on, at least get your money. I mean, what you're due, for raising all this money. That was I think
the editorial stuff that Harry Siegel pointed out.
Yes,
was not good either.
Yes.
No good.
That was also brutal. I mean,
really bad.
Yeah. So I think Lander will land on his feet. Have plenty of. He says he has plenty of money. He raised a bunch of money. He just can't get his matching funds this time around. He's got to wait for the next filing, I suppose. But again, another person who doesn't capture the entire populace, the attention of the populace, the way Eric Adams might on election day. I think Jessica Ramos has a decent shot because she's the only female, the only Latino, in the mix.
Okay.
Am I right?
Zona Myri's making a claim for the Latino thing.
My apologies to Zelnor, and I get it. I know that he's half Latino.
No, his parents was from Costa Rica.
From Costa Rica. That's right. I apologize. But I see
the surname. The surname doesn't help, right? Because it's hard to sort of associate a Myri with a Latino or Latina surname.
Correct. That's one part of it,
and the other thing is not speaking Spanish is hard. It's hard to surmount that.
I think
because Jessica has an advantage by Univision, Telemundo, the Spanish media, correct, right? Being fluent in Spanish, being bilingual helps.
Absolutely. I mean, your former boss used to try speaking Spanish, and it was horrendous, but he did it. I think but unfortunately, her fundraising wasn't so great, and she just got started, later than the others. She has a powerful message, and she's got a powerful alliance with unions. Sadly to say, I don't think you can win elections in New York anymore with if you're counting on the union vote to carry you, the way it used to. So who else do we have on the ticket?
Zoran Mamdani. You have Zoran Mamdani, Zellner, Michael Blake now.
Zoran Mamdani, is carrying the baggage of the progressives, the progressive left, which the moderates have won the war in this, and I think it's been sobering for the progressive movement to realize that they cannot be as radical as they would like to be. And that's always been the complaint I've heard, that it's always if they got something, it's their way or the highway.
The purity test.
Difficult
the purity
to compromise.
test is difficult to surmount. I've heard it from multiple people. That it's like there is no such thing in life as perfect.
That way, there was a groundswell of progressive, politicians that gave that hope a few years ago, and unfortunately they just. Well,
I remember Bill de Blasio coming from the WFP, coming from New York Communities for Change, and then obviously Acorn in his time, and he became mayor, and you actually had to govern. He became persona non grata quickly because the left was like, no, we want the full loaf. We don't, there is no brokering. It's like, well, that's, so it's easy to, it's a hard thing to do, right?
It's very difficult, and I mean the fact that he was a 2-term mayor is incredible. It was very impactful. I mean, and his of course the pre-K program, universal pre-K program. That's the feather in his cap.
But I only say that, Ralph, to say that the criticism is the reason why the left can't win is because last time around, right, you saw there was Maya Wiley, there was Diana Morales, there was, help me. Maya Wiley, Diana Morales, who else was conceivably?
Catherine Garcia.
No, Catherine was a moderate. But I'm talking about they sort of couldn't coalesce properly around someone. Hence, you threw the baby out with the bathwater.
Well, and I think that continues. I mean, I mean, they may have sobered up, but I don't see. I mean, again,
so what you're saying in this ranked choice world, as the deck stands with these candidates, okay, this is, I'm not going to put words in your mouth. This is just me speculating. As it stands right now with these candidates and the way it's stacked up, would you say that they cancel each other out to the favor of Mayor Eric Adams? Or do you think he's going to get all the number ones? He's very rarely going to be on anybody's number 2 or 3. And the aggregate nature of ranked choice hurts him. But you just finished saying that as it stands right now, he's got a very good shot at winning.
I think he's a number 1. I mean, you're going to get a lot of people just number 1 across the board for him.
Interesting.
And
that'll surmount.
I mean, it's not going to be on the Upper West Side.
But that's going to surmount the aggregate nature of ranked choice.
Think so.
Hence that the 2 and 3s and the fact that he may or may not be someone's number 2 because he's more of a moderate.
Correct. He's not going to be a big winner in Manhattan. He's definitely won't. And Staten Island is not really a factor in this, but you're going to get a lot of Brooklyn, Queens. It's kind of mixed a little bit, but he'll get and the Bronx. The thing is, I'm telling you, because the Bronx Latinos, they're going to vote for him. Brooklyn, he's going to have the Brooklyn political machine behind him.
You don't think a Bronx Latinos will vote for a Zellner or a Jessica?
Jessica, I think, can chip away at that. Zellner, as you pointed out before, will have a harder time because name recognition doesn't say Latino, and and he didn't wear, no one wears their ethnicity on their sleeve unless they do it deliberately, right? So, he wasn't. I didn't see Zellner doing that up until he decided to run, and then all of a sudden he's, Jessica. You always kind of knew, that, she's Colombian.
Ralph, let's talk about another Latino, Richie Torres.
Richie Torres.
Throwing a lot of elbows.
Forgive me, City and State. I refer to so many of these people, by their first names, like they were familiar, and some of them are. But he has been quite a maverick, and creating waves, for the governor. And I think,
is it wise or prudent?
I'm going to say he's going to have to be a little careful with that strategy.
Why?
Because it's such a pivot from where he came from, and the progressives are not happy to see him, like his support for Israel, and really he's been going after the governor pretty hard. Because now it's clear, I've asked his people, like, so when is he going to announce his run? Is he going to when is he going to primary the governor? When will he know that he's going to do it? And I think he's definitely going to do it. Appealing to moderates is a strong push, but you want to appeal to moderates and Republicans to be the next Pataki. And to do that, you got to be more like Lawler. And he's got a good shot at it, you know.
Why?
He's got.
What's your take on Governor Hochul? What hasn't she done? What does she need to do more of?
The governor, has really earned her place in Albany, coming in the way she came in, given that she was the LG for Andrew Cuomo and not well treated as the LG. And you can read it in Melissa DeRosa's book about how I think the governor was hoping to be an ambassador at some point and get that as a job. And she wanted that way back then when she was LG. Her then taking over, and becoming the first female governor of the state of New York, and then getting elected. All that's been great stuff for her. So those are her successes. And now, here we are at the point where she's now considering a run, for re-election. She, has not really communicated strongly to downstate that she understands us. And also that she understands. She jumps onto these these concepts like it's too damn expensive right now. It's inflation, everybody. That's why Trump won. And then she does the same thing Trump did a few weeks ago at Mar-a-Lago, doing like a little press conference with groceries and talking about how expensive everything is. I don't understand how the people around her see that as convincing to anybody. It just says that she's aware that people are complaining. Times are tough and expensive. And I know she's doing something about it. The $300 rebate check, the $500 rebate checks. Now you're talking. That gets people that'll get you some attention. Some people, I guess, will vote for you after that. Is it, a significant rebate? It's going to be here one moment, gone the next. Same way it'll be on the memory of the voters. So she's got a lot of work to do to make that happen. She's got issues that she's not going to resolve for people. Congestion pricing. She keeps it, people hate her. She takes it away, people hate her.
Yeah, so
the biggest mistake I think she made was getting involved and putting it on hold.
Interesting. Ralph, Mayor Adams and Trump, a lot's been written about that. And what do you think of that strategy? If it's a strategy, there is some legitimacy. He's the president. He's the incoming president.
I want to say this on your podcast.
And the other thing is I was telling someone earlier is that he's separate of what this borders are, etc. The city's still proceeding and taking all the steps necessary to protect people from being, but right? All the steps they're taking, separate to whatever the interpretation of what the mayor is or isn't doing or saying or not saying, seems like the city agencies are taking all the steps, right, to prevent Trump from coming in and bum rushing, so to speak, migrants and immigrants and throwing them out. So what are your thoughts? Is it clever? Is it smart? If it is a strategy, what's your analysis?
Well, if you see a storm coming, you got to batten down the hatches, as they say. And, Trump has promised, mass deportations, and he's on Meet the Press a couple weeks ago saying, if you're a criminal, you're gone. But then there are everybody else who's here illegally. You're going to be gone eventually, because if you're here illegally, that's it. You can't be here. You can't be here illegally. And if you have a naturalized, if you have a child born here, they're going to go back with you. Being born here no longer has that weight to it in Trump's world. And so this shows you the brilliance of Eric Adams, because he has smart advisors. He's been left with career bureaucrats who all have the greatest of intentions for this city. Maria Torres Springer, Gorodnik, people who actually came to this administration to make a difference and make changes. And so they've told him, that he listens to them. We gotta be ready for the tsunami that's coming. So we gotta do this. I think that's a smart strategy if you're going to protect people's rights, and these folks have no rights in many ways, right? Except they're in a sanctuary city, which there is where Eric draws the line, and he cannot operate this city the way he wants to if it's under the sanctuary city guidelines or parameters. So he wants to water that down, and so that he can stop paying for shelters that he doesn't want to staff. He wants to get these people out living in the community or get them back across the border to their countries where they belong because they're here illegally. And this is where Eric Adams, the police officer, comes through, the law enforcement officer comes through, and the moderate comes through. And so our president-elect is riding a wave of popularity, unrivaled in his time for him, which is strange. But I think the world has sort of said, "Oh, we're in a Trump world, embrace it or fear it." And Adams knows. The gossip was that Trump was hearing that Adams wanted a pardon, and that Trump was joking about it. But now Trump is indicating, well, sure, I'll give him a pardon. Maybe. Let me. It depends. We got to see what happens. That's what he said basically, and clearly, Adams already has aligned himself. I'm the victim. I'm the same kind of victim.
Look, it's been known to happen in this business. The enemy of my enemy is my friend.
And he's saying the same thing. I'm the victim of weaponized justice. And if the president had not done his own set of pardons and going back on his word about his own son, I'm talking about Biden. Now it's just like open, season for pardoning. It doesn't matter, and some of the pardons that Biden has given aren't very savory, So of course Trump is going to pardon January 6th rioters, and I'm pretty sure if Eric Adams is convicted of anything, or if there's a possibility of dropping the federal charges, you will see it.
Interesting. Good. Ralph, last thing I want to touch on with you. I'm at liberty. I feel very comfortable saying this. I happen to be one. Why don't Latinos have any juice?
Oh, yeah.
Chico. Like a citywide, statewide. I've been hearing it forever. As far back as I remember, I always talk about I always say this, it's a pop culture thing. But remember the Ricky Martin? The Latin explosion, guess what? I haven't seen it when it comes to, Melissa Mark Viverito was, but, I always say, look, I'm not going to try to minimize that because Melissa's a friend and, kudos to her. I think she did a fine job as speaker, but I always say that there are electoral victories, which we can't, or we haven't been able to really ever accomplished a big, again, citywide or statewide electoral, meaning people going to the polling site and voting a certain way. And what's a little, this is just me, straight, my own opinion, right? What's disturbing to me and annoying is that we keep relying on inside baseball and institutions to give us something, when the numbers dictate that we should be able to just vote or empower ourselves through voting, not through appointments and or the inside baseball and maneuvering. That's not an electoral victory. For some reason, we can't seem to put together electoral victories. Why?
Well, as they say often when we have this conversation, we are not a diaspora, right? We are from...
All right, you know what? You're Cuban. All right, wait.
Half Cuban,
all right.
Half Chilean.
Okay, but you're Cuban, right?
But I'm pretty much here in this.
Ralph,
I've grown up pretty much a Cuban.
Let's just use the Cuban example.
Mm-hmm.
Texas is not a Cuban state.
Mm-hmm.
Ted Cruz,
mm-hmm.
right? Mel Martinez, right? Marco Rubio, Bob Menendez. You know, but wait. New Jersey has ceased to be a Cuban enclave, Union City, many years ago. Right? But yet they seem to have figured out how to do it. New York City, you know, we got Adriano Espaillat, when we talking about the Dominican community, first Dominican Congress member, you know, for Cuban Americans in the national, that's like, you know, we're accustomed to U.S. senator. I'm saying, what is the problem here in New York?
Well, Espaillat is working very hard to get Latinos elected.
Yeah. I'm not taking anything from him, but I'm just saying in terms of the bar.
But I don't
know what I'm talking about. I want to hear what you think.
Well, I believe that.
And one more thing, and even like nationally, when I highlight that, you know, I remember a couple of years back they referred to Mexicans as rapists. We saw this incident now where, you know, at the rally for Trump in Madison Square Garden, that Puerto Rico is a garbage island or trash bin or something. And well, I got news for you. Trump won Pennsylvania and he won it and he won it and he won it and he won it and he won it. And prior to the election, people were saying, well, if these numbers prove to be X, he's dead on arrival.
I believe part of that vote from the Latino community that Trump won, it's true. You see it in the numbers. Older conservative Latinos, they don't care if you're Latino or Trump or whatever you are. They wanted someone to come in there and fix the economy. They wanted someone to come in there, lower prices. They want someone to come in there. I mean, it was a generational vote, because I don't think all Latinos across the age spectrum feel that way, you know. But that's part of the problem. We're very divided, and we don't have a cohesive figure leading Latinos in this country. We haven't had it in a while. And it requires someone
who's in a while, though. Who's a while? I mean, who are you referring to? You can't even think of him or her.
Who ran for mayor in the 70s?
Herman Padillo. Oh Lord, we're in trouble.
Yeah, we've been in trouble.
Who became a Republican?
Years. Yes. And they probably would run as a Republican, a Latino candidate. Because Ted Cruz, you mentioned Ted Cruz, Marco Rubio.
You're not giving me much hope, Ralph.
They're not elected because they're human. They're not.
I know. I'm just giving you an example.
I know, but it's so funny that you brought it up, because they get elected because they know exactly the policy line that people want to hear. And then they jump on the bandwagon of, you know, the populist rhetoric, you know, and that's anti-immigrant. You know, you have Latinos who are anti-immigrant.
Right.
That's scary. That's like
of course.
So how do we get somebody to lead us?
All right. Here's what I'm going to put you on the hot spot right now. Give me 3 to 5 Latinos that you think have influence. Doesn't have to be elected. They don't have to be elected. They have to be in the mix. Give me 3 to 5. If 3 is fine, if you can come up with 5. But the fact that you brought up Herman Badillo, it's like, wow. No, I'm not. You know, like, give me 3 or 5 Latinos who you think people will like. Hey, if they call, you say, "Oh, let me drop what I'm doing because I got to take this call here. This person has a lot
Ramirez.
He or she. Okay, Roberto Ramirez.
Yeah. But let me name his Hamilton.
Luis Miranda?
Miranda, yes.
Okay, 2.
No. So, this is something I heard a while back. I don't know if it's true. I've confronted him a few times, not about this specifically, but just about running for mayor. But Ydanis Rodriguez, you know, elected to the city council. He makes the list. I know at some point, but what I heard was he was, thinking about launching an exploratory committee to run for mayor, but only after Eric Adams finishes his second term.
Okay.
So he's a loyalist. And anytime you hear Ydanis Rodriguez speak, he's campaigning. at the mayor's Hispanic Heritage Festival party, whatever they had at Gracie Mansion. Rodriguez spoke, and I wasn't there, but it got back to me that it sounded like a campaign speech. He's been around for a long time. He started out as an activist. You know,
I know.
You know, he's really earned his stripes in some ways. And we just had a story on City and State the other day because it was on some Spanish language channel that they were saying he was gonna. I forgot he was gonna run for mayor. No, he's gonna challenge
Carmen de la Rosa.
Carmen de la Rosa, exactly, to get back onto the council, which to me doesn't sound right for him. But he might have been looking for an out from the administration because of all the troubles they've been having. I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon, but I do think...
Danis, Luis Miranda, Roberto Ramirez.
Yes.
Can you come up with two more?
Well, I think Jessica Ramos has really given herself a shot. Okay. I think she could be a formidable challenger to Adams if she could, catch up somehow with the people on the ground, with the voters on the ground. And cut through the noise. Get some good advertising out there. No, Adriano Espaillat.
Oh, interesting.
Of course. I mean, he's seating so many... he's getting Latinos elected. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And he's pissing off the political establishment in Harlem and stuff. You know, he's... Corey Ortega and him... I don't think Corey Ortega is really working for him per se, or at least not anymore. But Corey Ortega's out to build a little kingdom up there. He thinks he's an up and comer, and he could be. I mean,
interesting.
He's loud.
There's one there's one you forgot. Henry Garrido.
Yes, Henry Garrido.
He's not elected, but he's definitely the biggest municipal union in.
Yeah, I mean, but he can get people out to vote. You see.
But I'm saying he also has influence, right?
Yeah.
Because of membership, because of presidency, to pick up the phone, call City Hall, call the governor, right?
Sure, absolutely.
That's a lot of clout.
Someone who should work on building their muscles and becoming more of a powerhouse in this city should be the deputy mayor, Ana Ayala?
Ana Almanzar.
Almanzar.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was get the names confused. Almanzar. Because she's Dominican.
Yeah.
You know, and they kind of right now control the majority, right, of Latino power in the city, which is kind of sad because Puerto Ricans what happened, man? And that's again, that shows you why we can't get it together.
Yeah.
Everyone has to have their moment.
Yeah.
But and let me say that with at least, let's be real, let's be frank. This is a black administration. It's their time. It's they're strong, they're unified, and they're from all over the place. Latinos can't do that for some reason.
Yeah. Well, you couldn't. I guess we're stuck. We're back where we started. You said we can't do it for some reason. I agree. Ralph, best day on the job.
Best day on the job. Aside from winning awards. That's always.
I don't know what you define that. What's been your best day? Was it winning an award for a report? Investigative reporting you did, or something? I don't know.
City and State racked up two arms full of awards the last couple of years that I had the pleasure of going up to Albany and picking up from the New York Press Association from their Better Newspaper contest. And that's not me. That's my staff. And they totally deserve that. That makes my day.
Worst day?
January 6th.
Oh, wow.
Watching that happen. And, prior to that, 9/11.
Oh, wow.
Talking outside of City and State. Yeah.
Ralph, anything you want to add that I forgot to ask you that you want to mention?
I really believe that we're in a bizarro time, and our city is in a very, very well. It's not just our city; it's our country. But you can see it very much here in amplified. That we're in a time where people are very angry. And the division that that's been that we've lived with may now subside a little bit because we have to live with a new president and he's promising all these great things. I hope to see that happen in New York. I think we just, you see a lot of tension and people on the streets, a lot of anger, and we still have this crisis with, mentally ill people.
Yeah.
We need to take care of all those things, because as you saw in the Peely case, that's his last name, right? Neely. Sorry, in the Neely case, that civilians take matters into their own hands, and it could even result in death.
Yeah.
And since when did we take over the job of law enforcement? Things like that.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it's a question I wanted you to ask me, but I'm just
I
want our electeds to be conscious of this.
Yeah. It's a freewheeling conversation.
I'd like to see our electeds really sort of, help mentally ill people, and deal with the pressures that are really affecting people. I mean, the governor's right. It's like what Bush #1 said. It's about the economy, stupid, right?
Yeah.
Or was it Clinton who said that? I don't remember now. I'm getting old.
It's Clinton.
It was Clinton who said that. But anyway, I hope you edit this.
No, this is fine. Ralph, thank you so much for being here. Hopefully this won't be the last time.
Roberto, I loved it a lot. Thank you very much for having me.
All right, talk soon.